Will our money dear and force us to worship? Who is Trump's holy warrior? Why are they pushing a digital-only society, a cashless society? What is programmable money? Project 2025 will push Christian nationalism aggressively. Are you ready for end time? Welcome, dear friends, to TIBP Media. Kindly like and share this important prophecy update.
As David is.
As the crypto EO, we're going to be forming an internal working group to make America the world capital in crypto under your leadership.
The movement for integrating Christianity into public life and national government is growing intensity. Christian nationalism is becoming increasingly aggressive and influential as its supporters advocate for a political system that imposes Christian values on society. They argue that our institutions should reflect their religious beliefs and views, and they want to use the state's power to promote policies that incorporate biblical ideas into the nation's cultural fabric. Russell Vought, the newly appointed director of the powerful Office of Management and Budget. Russ is an architect of the infamous Project 2025 and has made numerous remarks about the need to Christianize America.
One of those correctives is that we're a nation under God. So we talk about being a nation that's for God. That's a consensus that we want to renew in this country, that we have religious liberty, but it cannot come from this notion that a country isn't understanding the reality that it has to obey God, and there is only one true God, and that is Jesus Christ our Lord.
You hit upon the first priority of our organization is to regain a notion in this country and society, and that should be shared by everyone, even if they have religious liberty for another faith. But that to the extent you don't have that consensus, you have a culture that just disintegrates.
I find these remarks from a government official alarming. Yet not surprising, this is yet another confirmation that the Bible is in fact inspired. In the book of Revelation, chapters 13 and 14, we are told that the final crisis will center around forced worship.
So I want to make sure that we can say we're a Christian nation, and my viewpoint is mostly that I would probably be Christian nationism. That's pretty close to Christian nationalism. We're going to have legal immigration, can we get people that actually believe in Christianity?
He is implicitly stating that he wants to craft policies that aid to Christian faith. Does the Bible teach Christian nationalism? Is the end-time gospel about Christians conquering nations? Before Jesus ascended to glory, he met with the remaining 11 of his chosen disciples and commissioned them to go and make disciples of different kinds of people, baptizing them and teaching them. Jesus sent his followers on a mission to recruit more heavenly citizens, not to promote or expand the borders of any particular nation. In fact, national boundaries disappear when it comes to being part of the family and people of God.
A big part of what we do is reestablishing that notion in our public policy and able to argue on the basis of public policy those certain truths. And that truth comes from revelation. That truth comes from revelations, and that truth comes from revelation.
Can we expect biblical worship to rise in our team based on the will be based on the 180 pages of a book, Project 2025? Again, Russ, the chief of Project 2025. Russ Vought is Trump's warrior. The Christian national wonk wants to crush the state. Questions. Do you see something prophetic about signing executive orders on cryptocurrency?
Bitcoin surges.
U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday to create a cryptocurrency task force. The group will develop new regulations for digital assets and explore building a national cryptocurrency stockpile. This move follows Trump's promise to revamp U.S. crypto policy and position himself as a crypto president.
Now notice, if you missed
The
it,
order ensures banking services for crypto companies are protected. It also bans the creation of a central bank digital currency, CBDC, in the U.S.
Why are they pushing digital-only society? Going cashless, bad for tax cheats, privacy, and poor. In a digital-only economy, governments and banks could take control of your finances and life with the flick of a switch. They could leave you without a penny. One of the dangers of the digital currency is, number one, it is programmable. Number two, it operates with smart contracts. Process payments when certain conditions are met. One more time, dear friends. This new type of money uses smart contracts. How? To automatically process payments when certain conditions are met. Why does Trump want regulation on cryptocurrency?
what are the tools of the new world? Everybody should have a digital ID. Everybody should have a bank account. Everybody should have a smartphone.
Okay.
Then anything can be done. Everything else is built on that.
Because talking about this before we came onto the panel, the three basic things: a smartphone, a bank account, and a digital ID.
Yes.
That's where every nation.
In India, it's been
begin.
named by the Prime Minister the JAM Trinity. Jandan, which is the bank account, Aadhaar, the ID, and mobile.
While digital ID systems are only just starting to be rolled out, the research and development so far suggests that your digital ID will be connected to absolutely everything. It'll be linked to the assets you own. It'll be integrated into voting systems, and it could even be required to access the internet. However, it should be clear by now that digital ID systems have the power to become more evil than anything. Besides making changes to your actual digital ID, the government or private company would have the power to prevent you from purchasing goods or accessing services. In short, a digital ID system would be one of the total top-down control with no escape. And it's a system that every single country will be rolling out in the coming months and years. The source of the push for the digital ID? The answer is the United Nations. The United Nations is very keen to introduce a global digital ID system linked to individuals or bank accounts. The UN considers the digital IDs as one of their vehicles to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations proposes the digital ID system tied to the bank accounts and mobile payment platforms. But who is really hungry for global control? And who made a move in monitoring all people on planet Earth? The World Economic Forum.
We're about to, and I'll say this boldly, we're about to abandon the traditional system of money and accounting and introduce a new one. And the new one, the new accounting, is what we call blockchain. It means digital. It means having a almost perfect record of every single transaction that happens in the economy, which will give us far greater clarity over what's going on. It also raises huge dangers in terms of the balance of power between states and citizens. In my opinion, we're going to need a digital constitution of human
World
rights.
Economic Forum reports admits digital IDs could be used for surveillance, persecution. The World Economic Forum has admitted in a new report that digital IDs are inclusionary by nature and can facilitate the identification, surveillance, and persecutions of individuals or groups. Those who will resist complying with the policies of the New World Order or refuse to accept the mark of the beast will be excluded from accessing some benefits. They have placed the disciples of Christ under surveillance of what they need to do. They guarded the tomb and placed the see of Rome in the tomb of Jesus. Placed surveillance all over the disciples of Christ to persecute them. I believe at end time, this surveillance of Satan will be used to persecute the remnant. Project 2025, Christian nationalism, they would be making laws about worship, and they would determine through these laws what is right and wrong and what kind of faith is best for the sake of the nation. Dear friends, these were the same scenes that transpired during the rise of papal supremacy. During the Dark Ages, it was the papacy that determined what was right and wrong. It was the papacy that decided what truth was. There was no higher appeal than the Pope of Rome. The Pope was the spiritual head of the church, and he also held temporal powers over the affairs of the state. All political powers bowed to Rome in order to obtain her favor. Revelation 17 verse 18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. This prophecy describes the global influence that Babylon would have over the nations of the world. It is happening again. The Bible clearly predicts that Rome would once again seduce and control the kings of the earth to make them carry out her wishes. We can clearly see fulfillment of these words today. Can we remain indifferent as we witness the accurate fulfillment of prophecy? Are we ready for the storm to break? Shall we fear and tremble or prepare ourselves for the trying hour that is coming upon the whole earth? Soon God's restraining power will be removed and our world will never be the same again. Jesus said, lay up treasures in heaven. If we can make Jesus the only treasure in life, we have everything in life. Is Jesus the priority of your life? Following the commandments, daily surrendering to His will. No evil can overcome us. They can take worldly comforts. They can take our money, our strength and position, but they can have the world. But give me Jesus. Kindly